In Japan, there is a phrase that has guided warriors, monks, and artisans for centuries. Nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect. Most of us spend our entire lives chasing perfection. The perfect career, the perfect body, the perfect relationship. And we convince ourselves that once we finally get there, once everything is in place, that is when we will be happy. But what if that belief, the one you have been building your entire identity around, is the very thing that is quietly destroying you? Today, we are going to explore an ancient Japanese philosophy called Wabi Sabi, a way of seeing the world that the samurai used to find peace on the battlefield, that Zen monks used to transcend suffering, and that modern science is now proving might be the single most effective antidote to the stress, anxiety, and burnout of modern life. In this video, you will learn the forgotten origins of Wabi Sabi through a story that most history books never tell, why your brain is biologically wired to reject simplicity and how to override it, and 3 practical principles you can apply tonight that will fundamentally change the way you experience your life. The Tale of Takeda Sojuro. In the winter of 1487, in a small mountain village outside Kyoto, there lived a samurai retainer named Takeda Sojuro. Sojuro was not a famous warrior. He was not wealthy. He served a minor lord in the Ashikaga court and spent most of his days managing supply routes and writing letters that no one of importance would ever read. But Sojuro had one obsession that consumed him entirely. He wanted to build the perfect tea room. Now, this might sound trivial to us, but in 15th century Japan, the tea ceremony was everything. It was where political alliances were forged, where a man demonstrated his refinement, his discipline, his worthiness. A perfect tea room could elevate your entire social standing overnight. So Sojuro spent years on it. He imported cedar beams from the mountains of Yoshino. He commissioned ceramics from the finest kilns in Seto. He redesigned the layout over and over, obsessing over the angle of a single window, the placement of a hanging scroll. He spent nearly everything he had. And then, one evening, just days before he was set to host his lord for the first time, a storm swept through the valley. Rain found its way through the thatched roof. The carefully plastered walls cracked. The scroll he had saved 3 years to afford was stained beyond repair. Sojuro sat in the wreckage of his vision, and according to accounts passed down through his family line, he wept. The next morning, an old monk named Ikkyu, who wandered the region, stopped by the village. He was known for his sharp, almost brutal honesty. When he saw the ruined tea room, he did not offer sympathy. Instead, he stepped inside, looked at the cracked walls, the water-stained scroll, and said something that reportedly changed Sojuro's entire life. "You have been trying to build a room that impresses. Build one that breathes." The monk told Sojuro to leave the cracks, to let the moss grow where the plaster had fallen away, to replace the ruined scroll not with something expensive, but with a simple branch of winter plum blossoms from outside his door. Sojuro, with nothing left to lose, listened. And when his lord finally visited, he did not see poverty. He saw something that all the gold leaf tea rooms in Kyoto could never offer. He saw the truth. He saw a room that did not pretend. And that, according to the old accounts, was the moment he understood Wabi Sabi. What Wabi Sabi actually means. So what is Wabi Sabi, really? It is not just some vague aesthetic about rustic-looking furniture or minimalist apartments, even though that is how most of the internet treats it. The word wabi originally meant something close to loneliness, the ache of solitude. Over centuries, it evolved to describe a deliberate simplicity, a richness that comes from having less, not more. Sabi referred to the beauty that emerges with the passage of time, the patina on an old copper roof, the way a wooden step wears down from years of footsteps. Together, Wabi Sabi is a complete worldview. It is the acceptance that everything around you is in a constant state of becoming and dissolving, and that trying to freeze any moment into permanence is not just futile. It is the root of most of your suffering. And here is where it gets fascinating, because modern psychology is catching up to what these monks figured out 500 years ago. The science behind the philosophy. Researchers at the University of British Columbia conducted a series of studies on what they call perfectionist self-presentation, the constant need to appear flawless to others. What they found was striking. People who scored highest on perfectionism did not perform better. They performed worse. They procrastinated more, experienced higher rates of anxiety and depression, and reported significantly lower life satisfaction. The reason is something neuroscientists call the hedonic treadmill. Your brain is designed to adapt to every new level of comfort or success almost immediately. You get the promotion, and within weeks, it feels normal. You buy the house, and within months, you are already thinking about the next one. Your biology literally prevents sustained happiness from achievement alone, which means the entire model of "I will be happy when" is a neurological dead end. Wabi Sabi offers an alternative operating system. Instead of chasing the next milestone, you train yourself to find depth in what is already here. Neuroscience research on mindfulness, which is closely related to Wabi Sabi practice, shows that this kind of present-focused attention actually increases grey matter density in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. In other words, the monks were not just being poetic. They were accidentally rewiring their brains for resilience. 3 principles to apply tonight. The first principle is to subtract before you add. Most of us, when we feel stuck or unhappy, instinctively reach for more. More goals, more routines, more productivity tools. Wabi Sabi asks you to go in the opposite direction. Look at your life tonight and ask yourself, what can I remove that is only there because I think it is supposed to be? Maybe it is a commitment that drains you, a possession you keep out of guilt, or even a belief about who you are supposed to be by now. Removing one unnecessary thing creates more space than adding 10 new ones. The second principle is to honor the crack. You know the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. That is Wabi Sabi, made physical. The next time something goes wrong, and something will go wrong tonight or tomorrow or this week, instead of rushing to fix it or hide it, pause and ask, what if this is not a flaw but a feature? What if this failure is actually showing me something I needed to see? That question alone can turn frustration into curiosity. The third principle is to practice seasonal living. The samurai understood that life moves in seasons, and fighting the current season is a guaranteed path to misery. If you are in a winter right now, a period of loss, uncertainty, or low energy, stop trying to force a summer. Rest, reflect. Let the ground lie fallow. Spring does not come faster because you demand it. It comes because that is the nature of things. and your only job is to still be standing when it arrives. Closing. Takeda Sojuro never became a famous samurai. His name does not appear in the great histories. But the tea room he built, the one with the cracked walls and the plum blossoms, reportedly stood for over 100 years. Long after the gilded rooms of the Kyoto elite crumbled and were forgotten, his small, imperfect room endured. And that is the deepest lesson of Wabi Sabi. The things you build with honesty outlast the things you build with ambition. The life you stop performing and start actually living is the one that matters. You do not need to be more. You do not need to be fixed. You just need to stop pretending that the cracks are not there and start letting a little light through. If this changed the way you think, even slightly, subscribe and turn on notifications. I will see you in the next one.